Hey everyone, Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor for Water and Waste Digest here. With this video, I had recorded this at the WateReuse Symposium in San Antonio, and while I was there, the audio kind of clipped and had some desyncing issues, so I did my best to recover and adjust for that in this video, but there are some moments where it's going to fall out of sync, so I apologize for that, but I think the information is still worthy and something that you should still pay attention to. So I'm going to put this out still. You'll see me at the end of the video because the end of the video also got cut off. So thanks so much for watching. We appreciate your time. Into the interview now. Hey everybody, it's Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor for Water and Waste. I am here today at the WateReuse Association's annual symposium, the 37th one actually. I'm here with Craig Lichty. He's the current president of the WateReuse Association. He is also a vice president and client director for Black Veatch. We're going to talk all things water reuse, business involved there, technologies potentially, and even some regulatory things. So yeah, Craig, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you taking the time.
Nice to be here, Bob. Thanks for talking about my favorite subject, which is water reuse.
Well, I love talking about water in general, and water reuse has been really fascinating the past day or so of sessions that I've sat in. So, and great panels from you at this as well. Just getting a lot of really great thought leadership out there.
Yeah, that was a terrific discussion this morning.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk first about drivers for water reuse. Obviously, we're seeing out west all the drought stuff, so that's a clear driver element there, but what are some of the other drivers that you're seeing in the water reuse space?
Well, when I think about drivers, I start at the highest, and I think a lot of what it's about is trust. Okay. And it's about the public's trust in their drinking water supply. I saw recently a survey that said that almost half of Americans don't trust their drinking water and their drinking bottled water, and I think people need to get more awareness about where their water comes from and how it's treated so that they have trust in the water that they're drinking and using. I think the other thing that is driving reuse is everyone is aware of the effects of climate change. And climate change is driving our water supplies to incredibly critical levels, particularly in the West and the Colorado River Basin and some of the things that we've heard about here at the conference. And so that's driving the need for reuse. But there's also another awareness that's emerging right now, and that's around environmental stewardship. Okay. And people are really realizing that reusing water is also a benefit for fish and the environment and everything else that relies on water in the natural system. So at the high level, those are the three things that I think. And ultimately, I think this all falls into a regulatory framework that matches the right quality with the right use.
Yes.
Because not all water needs to be treated to drinking water quality to be a benefit and be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I've heard that numerous times over the years, the right water, the right use, and that makes it the most effective. That way you're not overspending on energy to produce this drinking water quality and whatnot. Technologies or things that are exciting you in the water reuse space, are there certain things that are like catching your eye that you're like, that is really cool?
Yeah, I think right now intensification of membrane technologies is a really big deal. And what we're doing is we're seeing that through those innovations, we can really reduce the facility footprints. We can retrofit facilities for higher quality purpose more easily, and it's more cost effective.
Yeah.
Easier to operate, it's more resilient for incoming variations in source water quality, and ultimately it comes down to economics. These technologies reduce the amount of energy that's used and also can reduce the amount of carbon emissions. So I think there's a lot around membrane intensification technologies that's interesting. I think the use of artificial intelligence is really also part of this technology question. People are using, at a pilot level right now, artificial intelligence to run unit processes. I can see a day where artificial intelligence is used to run entire treatment plants, and with the advent of real-time monitoring, we could see AI looking at the source water qualities coming into a treatment facility, running the treatment facility itself, and then looking at the water quality and the distribution on its way to the users, to where it's all an integrated system that's run in real time, saving a lot of money and a lot of chemical and a lot of other costs to reduce the OpEx side of the equation.
Yeah, and talk about no better use for a computer to
calculate all of those things to make the right water for the right use, right? Down to the micron.
Right.
So one of the things here too was just I wanted to talk a little bit about Black Veatch's involvement with water reuse. Could you talk about what your involvement is? Obviously, you have a pretty good contingent of people here at the WateReuse Symposium as well. How important is water reuse to you guys, and why is this such a venue that you guys want to be a part of?
Oh, it is a big part. We have over a dozen people here from 7 states, I think, representing the company, and we're very active in the WateReuse Association. And I think this is all represented in our invisible, invaluable messaging.
Yeah.
We know that water reuse makes supplies more resilient, and it's part of building a sustainable environment for our communities and businesses. So at a high level, water reuse is in the middle of a one water approach.
Yes, yes.
And I know that that term has been used a lot, but I think as we work with our communities, they're really interested in taking a holistic view of things. And we're here in San Antonio today. We heard about how San Antonio is doing that.
Yeah.
And they're using water reuse to protect their groundwater supplies, to help manage their stormwater flows, reduce impacts of development, and serve businesses and agriculture. So it becomes part of this overall approach. It's right in the middle of this all water sources and looking at, every drop of water matters.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to use it for the right purpose.
Yeah, the true value. And one of the other elements there too was the environmental impact of actually putting it into the river, which is where the river, and it's this huge economic corridor, right?
Right.
So in terms of policy and regulations, what are some things that you guys are keeping top of mind? Obviously, it seems that everything's pretty disparate. A lot of different states are doing a lot of different things, and then nationally we have the Water Reuse Action Plan that's out there too.
Right.
How are you guys trying to navigate that, both from WateReuse Association and for Black Veatch?
Yeah, I think let's talk policies first. I think policies that are going to help businesses integrate reuse concepts into their approach. We're seeing there's a lot of discussion around environmental and social governance factors, ESGs, and they're influencing the boardroom, and they're also influencing investor sentiment.
Yeah.
So by reusing water, you're contributing to your ESG goals or targets, and there are whole funds that are set up that are investing in companies that are environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
And that's one policy. So finding policies that would support that would be helpful. Other incentives might be relative to helping businesses get incentives. And those incentives could be as simple as branding or awards. For instance, there's certain people that want to eat organic food or have non-GMO food. Well, someday people might want to have food or products that have some sort of a brand associated with it that integrate recycled water into our approach. And that would be a way to bring a benefit to these organizations. And then finally, the issue of investment credits, tax credits, which were tremendously successful in the adoption of renewable energy, electric vehicles. Maybe there is some sort of an investment tax credit that could be provided that would incentivize corporations to start making water reuse a part of their business, from a policy level.
Yeah.
On the regulatory side, I think that regulations need to really be tailored in the communities for the needs and attitudes of water where it's used.
Yeah.
I don't think having a national regulation for water reuse necessarily is the right approach. I think having each state look at their environmental factors, their economic and social factors, and then tailor the regulations so that it fits. So if California, for instance, has very strict regulations that have been developed over a long time, but that might not be the right fit for other states.
Yeah.
Because again, it comes down to the right fit, the right quality for the right use, whether that use be agriculture, drinking water, the environment.
Yeah.
And it might be different in a stream in Northern California that has endangered species like steelhead and salmon in it than it would be in some other environmental situation in the desert or somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I really think tailoring regulations specifically to the states and the communities that are being served is the right approach.
Yeah, well, and not to mention the regionality of source water quality also impacts that too, so that there might be differences of even treatment technologies required to handle different things too, right?
Right.
So you mentioned a little bit on this private side, like the business side and whatnot. What are you seeing in that arena when it comes to that private industrial side of things? How are is water reuse getting involved there? What is the buy-in? Do you see it more commonly there than in municipalities? What's kind of the situation there?
Well, things are changing with the climate change and the droughts that we're experiencing right now. A lot of companies, small companies and big companies alike, secure sources of supply.
Yeah.
So we're seeing chip manufacturers and data centers and people that consume and use water a lot, the power industry, move to locations, where they feel that they're going to have that security longer term. Because if they're in the business of making chips and they have to use a lot of water, or in data centers, for instance, they want to make sure that if there's a drought or something else happens, that they've got the security that their business won't be interrupted.
Yeah, yeah. So, final question is more about the association itself. Where do you hope to see WateReuse Association a year from now at the next WateReuse Symposium?
Well, we're embarking on our strategic planning process right now to set a new 5-year strategic plan. Our board was here in San Antonio meeting for the last couple of days talking about it. And the organization has grown a lot from a very grassroots group in California. We now have 8 sections with significant membership in Arizona, Nevada, Texas, Florida.
Yeah.
I see us geographically expanding into other areas of the country with new sections. We just opened up a new section in South Carolina. And what we're finding is that for the association, it was the arid western United States that were initially the adopters of reuse, and the association was built around policies and research for that. But now we're seeing that reuse is, again, part of this more integrated solution, and we're seeing places in the United States that have been traditionally water rich that are now facing droughts.
Yeah.
Or they can integrate water reuse into their issues associated with protecting the environment, like nutrient discharges to the Chesapeake Bay or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think geographically we will see expansion throughout the United States of water reuse. But again, it comes back to that industrial group. I think that we would really like to have more industrial partners in the Water Reuse Association, and by trying to advocate for these policies that would make water reuse more beneficial to industry, we'd like to invite them to come in and be our partners and be part of the association, so that we have a broad range, a diverse group of participants in our association, not just the municipal entity.
Yeah, well, and that also allows you to aid better with policy by having more perspective.
Absolutely. Our state sections, for instance, help us tremendously at the national level with our federal advocacy program.
Yeah.
And then having business partners who also have influence on these policies could be tremendously powerful to leverage that as well.
Yeah, well, thanks so much, Craig. I really appreciate your time today. And
So thanks so much for watching, and thank you again, Craig, for taking the time to speak with me at your very busy water reuse event. I learned a tremendous amount from both you and Pat and all of your speakers. So anyone who's interested in water reuse, I really, really recommend going to this event. Every year, you'll learn a tremendous amount about regulations, legislation, technologies, solutions. It's a great opportunity for you. So thanks so much. Check out the description below, because you can still get on-demand versions of a lot of the things that happen at water reuse. So please take the time to do that, and I will see you with the next video next week. Thanks.